Right folks, just before I get going with both rods in the water, I've got one out now, which is why I put the GoPro on, because that float's already bobbed once or twice. I don't know if it's the current or a fish. But a few people have asked what setup I use for dead baiting. So I'll quickly run through. So on the opposite end, should we say, I'm fishing a size 1.0 or 2.0, I can't quite remember the size of hook, circle hook, wire trace, that comes down along to a Fox quick change swivel. You can't really make that out, I'm sure. That's obviously covered in a buffer bead. Then you've got the Corum run rig. I love those. Like I go for the extra large as well, because the hole on the ring is bigger, so there's less resistance if a fish was to pull. Ledger, depending on whatever weight you need to the swim. So obviously if you need more weight to hold bottom, or if you just want less resistance, a heavier weight, I mean the line will pass through easier without the lead moving. Currently got the 40-gram Corum floats. You can use any floats, I'm not saying buy Corum. I know quite a few people that buy sea floats. For a couple of quid you get a few in a pack, massive, high visibility. That is then down to a buffer bead. That's not really necessary, but that just protects that my rubber stops aren't going to go into my float. And then the rubber stops on the swim on at the moment, they're set at about 12.5 feet, I think, and I've given another half a foot to be slightly over depth for the dead bait and the trace length. The rods that I'm using, bought these second hand. These are Witchwood Solis Classic. I think these are £3 test curves. Yeah, £3 test curve, 12 foot. That's coupled with a Shimano 6000 very muddy reel, and then that's got I think it's £66 Power Pro braid on, and that is basically my setup. And then as for baits, I've still not been able to get over to Morrison's to get some sardines, just haven't had time. So I've got roach on the one, and then ones that have always done me quite well, sardines, slightly bigger ones, and I'll head hook that with the circle hook. And yeah, hopefully we can get a fish out. I'm trying to do a bit of experiment at the moment, because I've lost my last session quite a few fish, and that was using just circle hooks and everything. So today's going to be a bit of an experiment. Trebles on one, circle on the other, but that's saying there's any fish active. With it being in flood, that might not be the case, so we'll see, but let's crack on. Righto folks, this is peg number 2. I spent far too long in the first peg. I should have come out there a while ago, but I just got too much faith in that peg. It's probably the slackest peg out of all of these, but nothing's happened. So I've up sticks finally, and I've come downstream. So you probably won't come out on the film footage, because it'll use the highlights off the camera, but it is really dark. Now I know it's forecast to be overcast, but oh, got a bite, hang on. So this has turned into a bit of a nightmare. I've moved peg, I've set everything up off the GoPro on my head, and within 2 minutes of sitting down, my rod's gone off. So there's no footage of this fight, but I'm not a blanker. It's absolutely ripped off with the smelt. So yeah, frustrating, but at the same time, I'm really chuffed to have had a fish. It has got some damage on this side I've just turned round from, but absolutely cracking to have got a fish on the bank. A couple of wranglers down here after barbel, I've caught nothing, but it's quite going to come out, but never mind. Please just punch, let's get it back. Right, I've literally had to stake this net. There's no way I'm standing anywhere in there, so I've left the fish to her own devices for a bit, or his devices. Might well still be a jack, I'm not sure, but just make sure she goes into the main float. Just give her a bit of a scoot. There we go. Out the muddy section into the slack. Nice. Right, for any of you guys that have watched me for quite some time, you may remember me moaning about this umbrella when I was down the River Severn. I think it was last year now, Lincoln Lock. It was last autumn, for dripping on me, constantly dripping on me. So basically leaked quite badly. The reason being, some mice decided to take a liking to it, and so they'd chewed a couple of holes, and then just general wear and tear to fit. I mean, the brolly itself, I think, is like 10 years old. So rather than a normal person would do and go and buy a new brolly for 89, 90 quid, 100 quid, I've done what must be commonly known now on YouTube as a ground pulling. So I've repaired it rather than replaced it. And so rather than spend up to 100 quid, I've spent a £5 on Gorilla Tape. So are you ready for this? So there's patch number 1. And yeah, that's patchwork 1000 up there. There's absolutely loads up there. And yeah, so that's not like an arm bracket to the umbrella, that's actually tape. So but I tell you what, it don't bloody leak. I'm bone dry under this brolly. Oh dear. Right, everyone, that is the end of this session, unfortunately. Time's ticking on and not much has been happening. I have still got my 2 rods out whilst I've packed up, just in case there's a last minute take, and that doesn't look like that's going to be the case, unfortunately. But yeah, what a knockered day today's been. So like I say, yesterday went on the lures and spent most of the session, well, all the session obviously on lures, to no avail. Come home with tail between my legs, and I keep promising myself to dead bait more. So today was a dead bait session, and to be fair, it's delivered on a really awkward conditions, I suppose. Unfortunately, because I've moved pegs, I hadn't got the GoPro on my head, so you won't see the footage of the actual take and landing the fish, but I think I've recorded the release. The peg I've caught it in, it is underwater. Normally where I've released the fish is normally where I'll be stood. But yeah, that went away perfectly fine. And really pleased to have caught, to be honest. That was on smelt, and to be fair, it was trebles. I was doing a bit of an experiment: circle on one rod, circle hooks on one rod, and trebles on the other. And actually, it was hooked on the last treble. So I was lucky that it didn't come out, because the actual treble came out in the net. So, but yeah, the river's up by 2 or 3 feet at least. Clarity's kind of there, but not brilliant. And as for the water temperature, I'm pretty sure that won't be right, but I don't have one of those digital thermometers, so I can't tell you the readings for the water temperature. What I can tell you though is that the wind today, I'd say it's mild, but I'd nearly say it's been warm, a warm breeze, because a few times when the wind kicked in again, it definitely didn't feel normal anyway for this time of the year. And then we've had rain come and go, which, you know, it is what it is. But yes, that's it. I'm going home a happy bunny. I'm not a blanker. Hopefully next week I'm meeting Brian and Jamie, and we're going to do a session on the River Severn. Again, depending on conditions, we might have a fallback if the river's out of commission. But we've been saying for a couple of years now we'll meet up and go and do a session, and we've never pulled it off. Next week we are pulling it off, so hopefully I can get some footage of something and get another video out for you. But for me, just meeting some mates and having a session really. So that's it, guys. I am now going to reel the rods in and disappear. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in a bit.